What's up, sports fans? It is August 5th, 2022. My name is Chris, and you are now rocking with Bets with MC Silly. In today's episode of Third and Long, we're going to be talking about 3 college football win totals that I absolutely love this year out of the SEC. The first win total we're going to be talking about is the LSU Tigers. The Tigers entered this season with a win total sitting at 6.5, shaded to the over at odds of minus 130. Long gone are the days of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but I may be the only one outside of Baton Rouge waiting for the next dynamic duel to come along and bring the Tigers back to the promised land. However, I don't believe it's going to be this season, as the Tigers have to deal with a ton of turnover from last year's 6-7 team that lost to Kansas State in the Texas Bowl. They do have a brand new coach, however, in Brian Kelly coming over from Notre Dame, but with so many unknowns, it remains to be seen how quickly he can put together a respectable program. On offense for the Tigers this season, they'll rely upon quarterback Miles Brennan to put up some big numbers and to stay healthy for the entire campaign. Brennan has not started a game since 2020 because of injury, and he will have to beat out Arizona State transfer Jaden Daniels for the starting role. Brennan does have the inside track, however, to the starter's role, and he'll have 2 extremely talented wide receivers to throw the ball to in Keyshawn Butte and Jared Jenkins. Butte is regarded as one of the best SEC receivers, and he's coming off a season where he caught the ball 38 times for 509 yards and 9 touchdowns. Defensively, this Tigers team returned just 3 starters from last season, and they'll be switching to a 3-man front thanks to new defensive coordinator Matt House. The Tigers will need to find a way to limit the big plays, as they gave up 60 plays of 20 or more yards, ranking them 116th in the country. If we look at their schedule, a win against Florida State in Week 1 in New Orleans would set the tone for the season and could propel them to a 6-0 start given who they have on deck. Southern, Mississippi State, and New Mexico all at home, and then at Auburn, a team I have projected to finish with 5 wins. From there, home to Tennessee, at Florida, home to Ole Miss, and home to Alabama is a gauntlet for sure, but winnable games versus Arkansas and UAB follow before heading to College Station to play the Aggies in the regular season finale. I believe in this Tigers team, and I believe Brian Kelly is going to have a tremendous first season, molding this team into something special. With that said, give me the over 6.5 wins for the LSU Tigers at odds of minus 130. Next up on the win totals market is the Arkansas Razorbacks. The Hawks come into this season with a win total sitting at 7.5, shaded to the under at odds of minus 165. Arkansas was perhaps one of the better stories in the SEC last year, finishing 9-4 en route to a win in the Outback Bowl against Penn State. This year, the Hogs returned very little at the skill position, tasking quarterback KJ Jefferson with creating chemistry with unknowns in a hurry. In a conference like the SEC where there are no off weeks, Arkansas may be in for a bit of growing pains this year as the offense finds a way to gel. Jefferson will be the one to watch this year across college football as he looks to replicate his impressive 2021, where he threw for 2,676 yards and 21 touchdowns with just 4 interceptions. He also ran the ball for 664 yards and found the end zone 6 times. Behind him, Raheem Sanders will be relied upon to tilt the rock, and he's coming off a year where he finished with 578 yards and 5 scores. The offense as a whole managed to avoid third downs at a rate of 51.4%, which was 23rd best in the FBS. When they did face a third down, however, the average go-to-go distance was 7.6 yards, and they ranked 90th in third down conversion with a percentage rate of 36.8%. Defensively, the Hogs were stout last season, ranking 39th nationally in scoring defense, giving up just 22.9 points per game. But with just 3 returning starters from last year's team, it's definitely a signal for regression this year. If we look at their schedule, they open up the year with 2 tough games versus Cincinnati and South Carolina, which is likely 1-1 at best. Missouri State in Week 3 will be a win, but losses are forthcoming against Texas A&M and Alabama right after. They travel to BYU in Week 7 before heading to Auburn after a bye week. 3 home games against Liberty, LSU, and Ole Miss follow before heading to Missouri in the regular season finale. In my opinion, that schedule has 5 wins for sure and 4 games that could go either way. I'm willing to bank on regression catching up with the Hogs this year, so I'm going to take the under 7.5 wins at odds of minus 165. And finally, the last season win total we're going to be talking about of the SEC is that of the Vanderbilt Commodores. The Commodores come into this season with a season win total sitting at 2.5, shaded to the under at odds of minus 150. Now, before we get into Vandy, you're probably thinking to yourself, how can this guy break down the SEC win totals and not give a win total on at least one of the 3 best teams, Georgia, Alabama, or Texas A&M? In my opinion, Each one of those teams are so heavily juiced to the over that there's no value in them at all. I'm not interested in laying minus 260 with Georgia, minus 240 with Alabama, and minus 200 with Texas A&M for all of them to hit double-digit wins, which in all likelihood they probably do. Instead, we're going to be talking about the dumpster fire that is the Vanderbilt Commodores. Over the last 3 seasons, the Commodores have won 2, 0, and 3 games. They went 0-8 last year in the SEC, and now have an absolutely terrible schedule this season, which we'll touch on in a few minutes. If there is one thing going for the Vanderbilt Commodores this year, they return a handful of starters on both sides of the football. But how good can they possibly be when they ranked last or second last in terms of offensive and defensive categories just last season? They averaged 15.8 points per game while giving up 35.6, and they managed just 312.6 yards, which was dead last in the SEC, while allowing 457.8. The key player for the Commodores this season on offense will be quarterback Mike Wright and running back Rocco Griffin. Wright struggled at times last season and split times with Ken Seals, but he did manage to throw for 1,042 yards and 8 touchdowns. Wright's ability to run the ball gives the Doors another option, but they managed to run for just 3.5 yards per carry with very little room on the offensive line, creating holes for their running game. Rocco Griffin will need to play a major role in increasing that number, as he finished with just 517 yards and 4 touchdowns on a 3.6 average yards per carry. Defensively, this team has some senior starters at every level, but when you look at who they have to go up against this season, it's no wonder they are projected to finish ranked dead last in the SEC once again. Their schedule has the Vols traveling to Hawaii to open the season, before home dates against Elon and Wake Forest, and a trip to Northern Illinois round out the non-conference schedule. At best, that's a 1-3 start, with Elon being the lone win. From there, I simply do not see another win on the schedule. Alabama, no. Ole Miss, doubt it. At Georgia, never. At Missouri, maybe, but probably not. Home to South Carolina, nope. At Kentucky, nope. Home to Florida and Tennessee, definitely not. Even if they manage to sneak in a win, I don't see them finding a third anywhere. Give me the under 2.5 wins for the Commodores at odds of minus 150. That wraps up this edition of Third and Long. Let me know down in the comment section if you agree or disagree with any of the win totals I talked about, or if you have your own personal win totals that you're going to be playing this year in the SEC Conference. If you want more college football throughout the month of August and through the college football season, drop a like and subscribe. On the next episode of Third and Long, I'm going to be giving you my best bets for regular season win totals out of the Pac-12. As always, kicking is for losers.